Hello, good day, everyone. Sir Kevin here, and welcome to another session of your product management. Today, we'll be discussing about the product life cycle in theory and practice. So, before we start, I would like you to think about this: that there are things that last, no, and there are things that do not last, no, and this is talking about time, the time frame, and we have what we call life cycles. So we encounter different phases of life, and at some point we might be down. So today we'll be discussing that life cycle of a product, though it might not be a living thing, but the product life cycle will be our tool on scanning whether what is happening with the product and what should you do next. Okay, so our agenda for this session are uh, to introduce the concept of product life cycle, that's the PLC, to explain its use and analytical framework, so how does it works. Then to identify criticism of the PLC concepts, no, it might not be perfect, no, to suggest how the PLC may be operationalized and put into practice. So it's not just about the theory of the product life cycle, but how can you use this as a tool. And then to present the event variation of the classic product life cycle. No, so there are flops and fails in um, determining your product life cycle. So without further ado, let's move on with our discussion. What's product life cycle? Product life cycle, or the PLC, is a generalized model of the sales trend for a product class or category over a period of time, or of related in competitive behavior. So, your product life cycle is what is happening with the product. So, there's a tracker. No, it's a tracker of your product. What's happening, the situation of your product in terms of sales. So, how does it works? No, so most alert and thoughtful marketing executives are now familiar with this concept, the product life cycle, and they use that not just for a forecast, but as a tool on determining how far is it going, no? How fair the strategies are going. No? So for you to review and to make strategies out of it. No? That's the idea there. Okay, so the concept of the product life cycle is today about the stage of the Copernican view of the universe was 300 years ago. So matagal na. So a lot of people know about it, but hardly anybody seem to use it any effective and productive way. So it's not a forecast. No, it might not be used as a forecast because if you are forecasting what will happen next, no, eh, you won't go with the idea of marketing management. So let's dig deeper with that PLC and what we can do. No, so take a look at this diagram. This is the ideal image of a product life cycle. So prior to what to discussion, let's just talk about the idea of the biological life cycle of a person. So the biological life cycle of a person starts with conception, no, from when egg cells and sperm cells meet together, no, and then there's conception, and there's gestation, and you as a fetus, or now a living organism made from that conception is being nurtured inside the womb. So that's prior to the introduction. That's prior that you will be introduced into the outside world, literally because you are inside the womb. No? So when you are born, no, so you'll be introduced. No, that's the idea. Um, you are at the introduction phase, no? And also that's the infant stage and toddler stage, and that's the growing stage, no? So lumalaki ka, tumatanda ka, and there comes a time that you stop on developing physical attributes of yourself, and then you try to build up maturity by yourself, not just physically, but also in decision making. No, through time, even our behavior and our capacity of learning, when we are young, no, we get just to do whatever we are taught to do, and then while we are growing, we are learning different ideas on those, and then right now, when you get mature, then when you stop developing physically, no, you got to develop mature decision making out of your environment and what are your situations. No? So when you reach maturity, what's next? Uh, when you reach maturity, what's next? So when you reach that specific age, especially in the physical attributes, there are things that are going to decline. So one of which is you lose your body mass, according to one commercial. Whenever you age, the body loses body mass, o yung laman, no? Then also your bones begin to deteriorate, and some of your organs slows down process, and that's the reason why there are more complications, no? Complications that are happening with aged people, no? Okay, so that's the idea. We get to decline now. So the same with the product life cycle. That there's a gestation, there's the planning phase, and then you get to be introduced, and there's a sudden spurt of increase or upward trajectory that is showing your growth as a product, and then you'll be reaching your maturity, and then comes a time that things are getting blunt and pale. No, it's not so many things that is happening. No? So then there will be time that the products will decline, and you have been witness of products that has been there through time, and you are also a witness of products introduced in the past, and right now they are not existing in the market. No, so there are surviving products, and there are products which failed in the market. No, so what is the whole process? No? The stretch product life cycle contains the seven stages. So gestation or the new product development, this is the planning. This is the reason why you have this subject prior on knowing the product life cycle. Of course, you need to develop your product, and then you need to discuss what's the introduction. How will you release? That's the launch. Then when you launch that, there's the growth, maturity, and then saturation, and then decline. And um, unfortunately, there are products, and even in our biological life cycle, that um, you're eliminated, or you get to expire. Anyway, so graphically, this represents as follow. So as you can see in the diagram, so let's start with the gestation. This is the new product development, no? This is the planning phase. Then whenever you are through with the planning phase, no? So this axis represents time, no? So through time, what happens? So after the planning phase, you get to launch it to the market. So that's the launch. Then suddenly, whenever things are getting through, and as time goes by, it develops growth because of a different marketing strategy that you might apply. No, okay, so that's the growth, and then things got mature, so that's the peak, and then things are starting to decline or becoming blunt, o parang ang dating nawawala na ng lasa, parang sa bubble gum. Pagkain mo ng bubble gum, kung hindi mo kinagat yan, wala pa masyadong lasa. Pero habang inunguya mo yan, nalalasahan mo siya. At pagdating niya dito nalasahan mo na lahat, padating naman yung punto na mawawalan siya ng lasa. And that's the idea. No? So that's saturation. And then things are getting to decline, at parang tumitigas na yung gum, no? And then wala na talagang lasa at hindi mo na mapakinabangan. So, ganyan ang nangyayari in a product life cycle. Not the life of a product, but the virtual timeline of a product, no? So, para maliwanagan lang kayo. So, the concept of PLC is firmly rooted in the concepts of biological life cycle and evolution, as I've discussed to you earlier. No? So, the concept of PLC ay nagmula dun sa idea na nagsisimula ka pagkabata at bumibilis yung paglaki mo, no? From toddler years and the adolescence habang bago ka maging adult, no, doon yung pinaka rampant and pinaka mabilis na trajectory ng growth, no? And then pagdating mo doon sa adulthood, no, hindi na masyadong nagbabago, no, kokonti na lang, and then you just need to set up your feet in the market, no? Okay, so what are the truths behind that product life cycle? First, uh, um, it's because of competition. Nagbabago yung situation. No? You might not know because you're maintaining relationships. No? Baka merong umagaw dun sa market mo. That's the idea of substitution and displacements. Baka palitan ka, no? That's pagpalit ka, no? Or maging option yung iba. So that's because of the competition, and then the substitution or displacements, no? And then it's because since this is competition, this is survival of the fittest. That's why only strong companies, no? Only those products that are developed through time and very keen to their product life cycle and strategize from it survives. No, they are trying to avoid elimination. So they are trying to stay relevant. No, and then the inevitability of change. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo maiwasan change, especially in the environment. Things change. The behavior of the market change because of the environment as well, no? Economic conditions change, no? So it's inevitable of change. That's why things change in your product life cycle might not be favorable in so many instances, but what is important in a marketer, in a product, and a brand manager is they are able to read the product life cycle and the environment and strategize from it. No, that's why this is a good career, no, because uh, you should be alert with the what's happening with the environment. So it also reflects a number of what we considered useful generalization of not eternal truths. So needs are inborn and enduring. That's true, no? That needs are inborn and enduring. So it lasts. That's need. Wants are learned and ephemeral. So depende yan sa how you're raised. So there's wants. The great majority of actions are motivated by self-interest, as discussed in our buyer behavior lesson. Then the act of consumption changes the customer. So you go back with the idea of your economics, the law of diminishing returns or the law of diminishing satisfaction. That when someone consumes something, na nagbabago yung perception niya or nagbabago yung level of satisfaction niya. So these are truths that you are also need to reflect upon. So given this pedigree, why has this PLC concept not become accepted wisdom and universally endorsed by all? No? This is one of the complication of the product life cycle. It's because it doesn't show no the exact things, no. It just illustrates the current situation of the brand so as you can plan, no, so as you can plan what to do next. Okay, so because most people mistakenly try to use it as predictive device or forecasting tool, so this is not forecasting tool. Remember, you are making decision and you are a marketing manager, no, or a product manager. So after reading what is happening with your product and what is happening with the environment, the next question is what to do next, no? Okay, so it's not a predictive tool. Do you think that the product life cycle after being matured in the market depends on that tool, no? The tool cannot predict itself because it's just reflecting what is happening with the product. Okay, so it is real value in the insight that it provides and its implications unless managerial intervention can moderate or modify the process. So, ganun ka-importante yung role nyo bilang isang marketing or product manager that you do interventions, a control of the management. Okay? So, when a life cycle reaches its limit of growth, three basic options exist. Kapag nandun ka na sa maturity and saturation, what do you do next? No? You as a person, you need to strive to survive. Diba? That's the idea. Personally, whenever things are not getting to your favors, what will you do? You will be trying to survive. And that's also the basic concept in the product life cycle. So, whenever you reach that, you need to avoid elimination or the decline. No, you need to avoid the decline. That's why sa biological life cycle, we try to drink medicine, food supplements for us to have a fit and good physique. No, so that's the same with the product life cycle. So these are the three basic options that is existing whenever we achieve growth, limit of the growth. A way around the limit cannot be found and process goes into decline. So wala kang makitang solusyon dun sa growth mo, and you cannot extend the growth, so it will go to decline. It will go to decline. That's the first one. No? Okay, this is the first one. That is the decline. Okay? Second one is an equilibrium established at the life cycle and stretch or extended. So as you as a marketing manager or product manager, the next thing that you can do at the very least is you try to survive and extend that growth or extend that maturity. Now you try to stay relevant. So let's go back with the diagram. Okay? So this is the second instance that you try to extend. You try to extend what is with your growth. And then lastly, is the limit is broken and new growth phase is initiated. So looking at the diagram, this is the third option and third situation that you can do and make intervention with. So whenever you reach the growth limit and you are reaching your maturity and saturation, the main goal of a marketing manager, product manager is and should be, no, to renew the growth, no, to renew the growth of the product, no, or to try to aim for another growth or push in the life cycle of the product, no, to try to stay relevant, no, with the conditions. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the life cycle stages. So please take note of this, and I'll be sending you the lecture about this, no? And we'll be having a case study about this and what shows this life cycle and what do you do next. Okay, so the conceptual arguments about the PLC or products are not living things, as I've also mentioned with you, no? So the biological metaphor is entirely misleading. But I would like to discuss it to you that we just use that as an illustration, no? We use that as an illustration. Of course, there are more environmental factors that may affect the product life cycle, no? And even the biological life cycle, no? Okay? So the life cycle of a product is the dependent variable, no? Dependent variable yung life cycle ng product. Why? No? Kasi nakadepende siya sa management decision, your decisions, no? So that's the idea there. So it's not a forecasting tool but a reflecting tool of what is happening. Okay? So ikaw yung gagawa ng paraan how can it achieve, no, yung renewed growth or the extension of the growth. So the product life cycle can be valid for product class, product form, and for brand. So meron kasing hindi applicable yan. No, however, at least they can illustrate their own product life cycle depending on how they interpret, no, yung life ng isang product. No? And trying to fit product lifecycle curves into empirical sales data is a sterile exercise in taxonomy. So, ibig sabihin, you're classifying. No? Okay? So, the main operative arguments naman, the four phases or states in the life cycle are not clearly definable. No? They're not clearly definable. But as you can see, you can just point out from their graph what is happening. No? Kumbaga, these are just conceptual things. No? It is impossible to determine at any moment in time exactly where the product life cycle is kung nasa na. Pero you can plot from the diagram what is happening. Oh, parang pa-decline na tayo. So there's a flat line here, no? At least you have the idea. So the concept cannot be used as a planning tool, no? Yeah, it might be an operative argument, but at least again, it gives you an idea what to do next, no? It's not conclusive. It's not conclusive to do that. So there's an evidence that companies who have tried to use the product lifecycle planning tool have made costly errors and passed up promising opportunities. So I go back with the idea earlier that the product lifecycle is not a forecasting tool. No, it's not a forecasting tool, but it's a tool to reflect what is happening. Okay. So, but even if everyone accepted those definition, the problem remains. Managers are seduced by the consistency of the S-shaped logistic curve into the expectation that it cannot be converted into a precise formula which will predict accurately the behavior of individuals' brands in the market. So the persistent belief is ingenious that uh, is Genus, and the PLC is a post-factor generalization about observed outcomes. Again, that's the idea. It's reflecting observed outcomes. Okay, the PLC is a tool which encourages strategic insight, policy formulation, and long-term strategic planning. And it's not a tactical device. No? So, the product's position of the life cycle. Uh, and there are instances that there's no curve, in fact. No, there's no curves in fact that you reach maturity and then decline. There are what we call deviant cases such as fads and fashion. So the classic fashion good PLCs should that there will be a sharp a sharp slope of the growth, and then suddenly it goes down sharply as well, no? Okay, so that's a deviant case as well as fads, no? So the fads of the PLC, no? Then uh, this is a sharp, and then suddenly it goes down, and then it goes down to an elimination phase. So there's a slight curve there, but technically, um, you these circumstances or these eventualities is just telling us that the product life cycle is not ideal. That means these are not the product did not is not sustainable, and there's a sharp down upturn and downturn of things. So these are mostly these are the things that presented into the market, and then just been eliminated, no? Quickly, no? So again, the main idea of what objectives a product manager should have is you try to stay relevant. It's survival of the fittest. The competition is tough. There's a concept of substitution and elimination, no? So pagpapalit ka, and also changes are happening each and every time, no? So that's the main goal of the product manager. So what will you do whenever things are getting matured and there's no growth, no? So there are different ways. There are different ways what to do next. No, and that is planning what do you do with the product. So you go back with the BCG growth matrix. That's the product market matrix, vector growth matrix that telling us what you do with the product. Will you change market, or will you change something about the product? So that's how you can build renewed growth, or extend the growth of your product. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed about our discussion in product management, and I hope you also learned and debunk something about the product life cycle. And thank you for tuning in. See you until the next one. Sir Kevin here, and God bless.